Find it. What just happened there was he couldn't see the treat, but he could smell it. He used his sense of smell to figure out which hand it was in, and he took it. Now, a dog has a really good sense of hearing and a really good sense of smell, but we as people don't have such a strong sense of smell or as good as hearing, but we have very good senses of touch, and we use that to process information in a lot of ways, just like this guy used his nose to figure out where the food was. So we're going to leave the golden retriever in here and we're going to step outside. Now, our senses is how we process information, and it's what tells us what's going on in the world around us. Just like the dog figured out where the treat was, we can figure things out about how they look or how they feel. Today we're going to focus on our sense of touch, and we're going to do a little scientific investigation using our sense of touch. Our sense of touch protects us. Think about this for a minute. When you put your hand near something and you feel heat coming off of it, before you even touch it, you know that it's hot and that you might want to be careful around it. That's one way our sense of touch keeps us safe. Another one is when we touch something and we feel it cold coming off of it. Before we even touched it, we know that object's cold. So we use our sense of touch, along with our other senses, to gather information and tell us what's going on or what something's like around us. And we have sensory descriptors that we use to describe what we see, hear, smell, or feel. Today we're going to focus on touch. I've got some things sitting here out on a table, and if you look at them, you could probably make some inferences like this. It's a metal chess piece, and it looks like it'd be smooth. If you looked at the cotton ball, you probably would think that looks like it's soft. And before you even touch it, you look at the pencil and say, that might be sharp. That's one way that our sense of touch keeps us safe. We don't touch sharp things because we know already ahead of time instinctively by looking at it with our eyes that it could be sharp. Now if you looked at these four things right here, what would your eyes tell you about these things before you even touched them? What inferences would it make before you touched them about these objects? Maybe this one would look like it was kind of sharp. It's got some thorns. It looks a little bristly and rough here. This looks like it'd be hard. Sounds pretty hard. This looks like it might be hard too. It doesn't sound as hard as the other one did. But they both look like they're smooth, and in fact they are. What does this thing look like it would be? Does it look like it'd be rough? Yeah, it sort of is. But if you were an animal, all four of those things are food. You would never guess that those things were food by looking at them. So sometimes you can't just always rely on how things look to figure out what you need to know about them. So sometimes we have to touch them. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to do a little blind test where I'm going to reach into a bag and I'm going to touch an object and I'm going to give sensory data on that object. I'm going to describe what I feel and I'm going to try to figure out what the object is. Okay? Okay, I'm going to reach in the bag, and this is something you can do at home, but I want you to try to figure out what I'm describing and see if you can figure out what it is based on the data that I'm going to give you. Okay, the first thing I feel is kind of rough. It's flat. It's about as thick as a piece of paper, and it's flexible. So I'm going to go with sandpaper. And that is, in fact, a piece of sandpaper. Did you guess what it was? Okay, I'm going to reach in for one more thing. Okay. And it's not real hard, but it's fuzzy and it's round, and it does squish a little when I squeeze it, but not much, and it's fuzzy and round. What do you think that could be? It's almost perfectly round, almost like a ball. Take a guess. It's a tennis ball. Okay? That was a scientific investigation. What I did was I used one of my senses, touch in this case. I felt the object. I used words to describe its texture, what it felt like, anything that I could use to try and analyze what the object was. And that's what scientific investigation is. It's collecting data, recording the data. I recorded it mentally as I talked about it, and then analyzing the data. And I analyzed it by taking a guess at what the stuff was. And that's what we do. We do it all the time. We use all 5 of our senses to do it. But our sense of touch is one of our senses that makes us unique to everything else. Unlike the golden retriever, we don't have that nose that's going to tell us where things are that we can't see. We have to kind of figure things out when we can't see them, and we use our sense of touch to do that. So, this is a scientific investigation that you can do with anything that you find around your house. Just